Sage Steele, she is a sports commentator. Not quite sure how to categorize Sage Steele. I want to say that she would be considered, because she's a black woman, not qualified. Not my words. Not my words. She said, "Dear sports leagues," that's what she wrote on her social media, "looking forward to seeing you release statements and send condolences to Charlie Kirk's family after he was murdered for his political beliefs. You know, kind of like you did when career criminal, George Floyd, when career criminal George Floyd died." This is what she posted. She tagged the NFL, the NBA, WNBA, the NHL.
"We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive."
So we're going to have a conversation today about patriotism. We're going to talk about what it means to disagree. We're going to talk about the difference between hate speech and freedom of speech. We're going to have a conversation today, and I'm going to invite you in 866-801-8255 into conversation. If you are a SiriusXM subscriber, come on through. If you are in Nubia, we're going to see you as well in a few minutes. But I want to have a conversation because there's a lot of noise right now, and there's a painting of something this is not what it is. The killing of Charlie Kirk is not akin to George Floyd. We're going to have that conversation as well, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why what I think is happening is an attempt to silence people from telling the truth. And two things can be true. Somebody could be spewing hate, and you can still not want to see them die. But you got to tell the truth about what was coming out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. We have to tell the truth about it, because that's the way we prevent the next. It's not about being afraid. As the governor of Utah, I was praying it wasn't one of us. Well, who's us? Who's one of us? Was he talking about Utah people? I got real concerned because he was saying the quiet part really out loud and strongly. When they think about one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, are we part of the all? I'm very concerned with the rhetoric that I'm hearing. And I'm more concerned with the silencing of people. So we can't say that Charlie Kirk said hateful things without being a lunatic left and all of the other things. They are painting this as if Charlie Kirk did nothing. And let me be very clear. No one, and I even said this at the time that he was shot, before we knew I prayed that he lived. No one is advocating for any kind of violence against anyone for their opinion, period, full stop. Even hateful opinions, full stop, okay? But we got to be able to say that his opinions were hateful, that his opinions were not in alignment with Christian values. We should be able to say that. If you call yourself a Christian, and there's a lot of vigils and praying and Christian things, putting up air quotes, happening around Charlie Kirk, and moments of silence and half-staff flags, people aren't just saying things out of anything. No one wants him to be dead. We must also be able to have a conversation about the things that he said. And if we can't do that, then what's the point? And this is not a matter of just free speech, because if that's the case, we should all have it, right? People shouldn't be getting fired for saying what Matthew Dowd said before he knew he was dead, that Charlie Kirk peddled in hate. He lost his job on MSNBC. Several other people are being shut down and silenced and doxxed and threatened for pointing out commentary that Charlie Kirk made. Now, I did not play any Charlie Kirk clips last week, But I'm going to play some today because I also feel that there are some of you who have never heard Charlie Kirk's voice. Again, we are in some very dangerous times. The person that killed Charlie Kirk, now that first they were praying that he was a liberal. They were praying that he was a Mexican or from outside of the... Matter of fact, let me play the prayer of the governor of Utah. The governor of Utah.
You know, this bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for. Just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here.
Easier on us. Easier on us. You were praying that it was not one of you. You were praying that it was somebody from outside because it would make it easier on you. For what? It should be hard on all of us, no matter who. This blame game has to stop. Looking for the boogeyman to absolve yourself from any responsibility, Governor, is the problem. There's no accountability. That we have a gun problem in this country. We have a hatred problem in this country. We have a violence problem in this country. And it's not 1, 2, 3. It's not this person, this group, the Mexicans, the blacks. It's all of us. And actually, if we want to be honest, we can probably look to the church. Because Jesus' message is not getting through. It's somehow not getting through. It's not penetrating. It's not separating bone from marrow. Something is wrong in a nation where so many people have so many guns and so many young people feel so disenfranchised and so disconnected. So many. There's a problem. There's a parenting problem. But more than a parenting problem, there's a societal problem where this somehow is okay. And we can blame Reddit. We can blame Twitter. We can blame a lot of things. But a lot of people need to look in the mirror. How much do you allow to go unchecked in your own environment of the hatred speech? How much of it do you just chalk up to kids being kids or boys being boys? Or where's your accountability? That you were praying that it would be somebody but one of your own, whatever that means. Aren't we all your own? So these little borders around these states, they mean what? We're not all part of the same country? We're not all part of the human race? Is that what this means? We're not all part of one? E pluribus unum? We're not all out of many one? I guess not. And they're finally saying it. So what should we do with this? Because now it's been said. Okay? And it's no longer any signal. They're no longer doing Willie Horton and the welfare queen. They are saying it. And they're using the death of a man to gaslight the world and ram down more policies that are going to hurt more people and cause more division. That is what is happening. 866-801-8255. So Sage Steele, she is a sports commentator. Not quite sure how to categorize Sage Steele. I want to say that she would be considered, because she's a black woman, not qualified. Not my words. Not my words. She said, "Dear sports leagues," that's what she wrote on her social media, "looking forward to seeing you release statements and send condolences to Charlie Kirk's family after he was murdered for his political beliefs. You know, kind of like you did when career criminal, George Floyd. When career criminal George Floyd died." This is what she posted. She tagged the NFL, the NBA, WNBA, the NHL. So the comparison of Charlie Kirk to George Floyd was a man that may have passed a bad $20 bill and got his neck kneeled on by law enforcement for more than 9 minutes until he soiled himself, called for his mother, and died in front of everybody while we were home during a pandemic watching, while people were trying to stop, and 3 other officers prevented Derek Chauvin from getting off of George Floyd's neck. This was a government agent sworn to serve and protect the people, who are also innocent until proven guilty. So if he committed a crime of passing a bad $20 bill, he should not be dead. To compare that to Charlie Kirk, ma'am, are you okay? Does your brain not function well enough for you to, you're drawing unparalleled conclusions here that this is not the same thing. I'm sorry. And political beliefs, yes, he's entitled to them. And I'm sure we will find out, because the person that they found is not cooperating. But I'm sure they will find that his political beliefs led this young man to do something that was really horrific. I'm sure. But it's not the left. And to ask for sports leagues, what you want them to do? What? Do what? So I thought maybe Say Still has never heard the things that Charlie Kirk said. Again, these sports leagues that are predominantly black, football, basketball, overwhelmingly, WNBA, overwhelmingly. She tagged the NHL. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. What's your point here, though? What are you trying to intimate? And she's trying to say something here. I hope you're listening. 866-801-8255. This is very, very disconcerting, because the narrative is the left, the Democrats, the left. And they were trying to, you remember all of the people posting stuff, and then they found out this kid, not only was he raised in a household full of Republicans that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump, and they can't understand what is going on. Then there was the trans thing, because he's living apparently with somebody or in a romantic relationship. So now it's trans, 1% of the population, less than 1% of the population. They're not out here killing people. And the person that he may be with didn't do it. But I will lead you, if it's a trans problem, Caitlyn Jenner is trans, and she used the woman's bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. So what lines are we drawing here? It is so much confusion, which is the goal here, by the way. And then the other thing is, they want you to be quiet. We can't tell the truth. 2 things can be true. Charlie Kirk could have absolutely said things that were racist, homophobic. I think he quoted the Bible, calling for the stoning of homosexuals. Like, I have a whole list of things, but it was irrelevant to talk about, because the man should never have lost his life, period. So bringing up all of that, to me, felt insensitive last week. But now we are in a fight for what is truth. And I promise you, if you're silent on this, they're going to run a Boston. And then you won't be able to say anything about anything when they start to pick up your neighbors, not just your neighbors that you don't like, the people that may speak Spanish that you don't care about anyway. When they start coming for you, nobody's going to be here to say anything, and nobody will be able to say stop, because that'll be a crime. You understand? Like, this is where we're headed. There's no media right now. We don't have a media. I'm sitting here every day, like, wondering, people have to apologize, media outlets, for literally quoting Charlie Kirk. So I'm going to play some clips. I'm actually going to play a compilation. So just if you've never heard his voice before, here's some of the things that he said.
For these blacks trying to go rob her, happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Black crime is a major issue in our country. Why are you pushing criminal justice reform exactly? Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken.
All right. Y'all get the idea. Not going to spend the next 3 hours dissecting every single thing, but that's the goal too, right? You throw all the SHIT up against the wall, something's going to stick. Somebody's going to be like, yeah, that Ketanji Brown Jackson is unqualified, even though I couldn't get through 1 year of college. She's a Harvard trained lawyer. Yeah, Michelle Obama's unqualified. Joy-Ann Reid, who also went to Harvard, is unqualified. So they want the reaction because the reaction then brings the algorithm, and the algorithm brings the followers, and the followers bring you money. You see it, rinse and repeat. So now what is our responsibility? Because here's the scary thing. I was just talking with Ahmad today, one of the guys that works with me. He's a tech guy, and he said, what's really scary, Karen, is that if you're a young person, your algorithm is full of violence, black youth committing violence on one another. If you're a young person right now, that's your algorithm. And the algorithm is being pushed out so heavily that if you scroll, there's going to be a lot of fights and a lot of ratchet behavior, and it's on purpose, right? So if I don't scroll, mine is, puppies. I got a lot of dog videos, a lot of cat videos that are in my timeline because I find it funny when the dogs, get caught eating the food, and the dog parent is like, did you do this? And then they point to the other dog. I love that. And the cats hitting the dogs, and the fights that the cats have, and how cagey they are, which is why I'm kind of a cat expert. That's my timeline's full of that, and social justice warriors. So I don't get a lot of the violence, but apparently it is prevalent. And I was thinking about this today as I was preparing for the show, because if you're Italian American, and you go to another country, what do they push out about you? So of course you got the Sopranos, you got the Godfather, but you also have Nona, so it's really, you think of grandmothers and big family dinners, and those are good, and even the Soprano stuff, y'all, that organized crime thing, the Godfather in particular, for some people it's goals. You know what I'm saying? It's not anything to shrink. This is toughness. That y'all in the wake of poverty figured out how to, but with black people, and I've been saying this, through media, through music, through entertainment, it's sports, singing, and violence. And if that's on a loop, even in the music, and that's all people hear, because again, this country self-segregates folk who identify as being white, and now it's doubling down. So when somebody says black people are violent and they were better, this is what he said. This is an exact quote. Better off in slavery. There was less crime. Exact quote. Martin Luther King was awful. He was not a good person. An exact quote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Exact quote. So when those things are said, there's people who would go, yeah, he's right, because all you see on your timeline, because right now we don't have media, nobody's watching the news, all you're doing is scrolling, and if all you're doing is scrolling, what are you seeing? And yeah, you may be seeing people celebrate. That's not here. I had to check a few people. You ain't hear nobody here celebrating nobody's death. Stop it. Well, not you. Well, then don't say me. Yeah, we need to start checking people in real time. Which means that everybody who's listening to my voice, you're deputized to get out there in social media and correct when people are saying things that are not true. When I just talked with Governor Beshear, I was like, hey, I grew up in a neighborhood, everybody had a daddy. And I said that because that's the truth. That's the truth. My police chief lived on my street. I've said that because that's the truth. Most of the kids on my block and all of the blocks in East Orange where I lived went to college. This is not, and so when we then juxtapose that to the stats that the most degreed people with degrees in this country are black women, like the math ain't mathing with the images that are projected. So you're going to give us Cardi B and all of this, and I like her. She's cute, but she doesn't represent black women. You're going to give us the basketball wives and all the Atlanta housewives. That's commerce. People doing strange things for change out there. That doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent the vast majority of black people. And then I got to fight with people like Bernie Sanders to stop talking to us about poverty. Poverty is a problem, but that we have way more other things that we want to accomplish as black people. 70-something% of us are not impoverished. What else do you have? And then you look at me like I'm crazy and you can't pivot from that because that's all you know. And you live in a state where you don't see us. But you march with King. Like at some point, this has to make some sense. So I actually vacillated between like, what do I talk about? because it's scary to live in a world where truth doesn't matter. And they can reframe the truth and then run it through all of the things that they've now paid for or been sold out. All of the media has been sold out. They already bent the knee. So they have all of the media except when they're fighting him and Rupert Murdoch, and may slip some Epstein stuff in there just because they're petty. But really, we don't have any news. So we have to stop people. And I know some of y'all like, let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. Y'all been saying that to me for 2-3. Let them talk when they call up. No, I will not let you say wrong things when I know that that's a lie. For what? No, I won't let you lie on these airwaves or lie on us. I'm not going to let you do that. That's not, to me, freedom of speech. I'm a journalist. Well, I shouldn't even say that anymore because I don't know what that is. But I'm a trained journalist. And freedom of speech has strictures to it. You can't just say whatever. Matter of fact, what's the common thing? You can't yell fire in a crowded theater if there's no fire. That's against the law. That does not fall under free speech. So what's the equivalent of that? Yelling fire in a crowded theater. Anything that might cause harm to somebody, right? We could say that, right? So if it can, and it's not true and it can cause harm. Yeah, we have to set the standards. I would like for there to be a massive campaign. It's just small things because the small things lead to big things. Let's take all of these horrible lyrics that people don't bleep. Let's have a campaign. I don't want to hear the N-word anymore on any of these. Nah, I don't want to hear it. I didn't hear it when I was, a child. And some of these songs had it in there, but they didn't play it on the radio. They bleeped it out. They didn't play it on the radio because there were children in the car. They didn't play it on the radio because it's offensive language. It's offensive. Now, does it cause harm? Maybe. Mentally, doesn't make me feel good. I can enjoy the music without it. Quite frankly, I don't know half the lyrics to most of the songs anyway. I'm here for the beat. Me personally. Me, myself. Shout out to Michael. But here we are, right? We're in a time where we're being gaslit. They're comparing him to George Floyd in that moment. And they want that moment. Why do they want that moment? There's an information war is what we're in. How much are we being manipulated? And that's the other thing. I don't even know who's pushing the narrative. I don't even know whether it's a bot or bot farm, a whole bunch. And then you got to know if they're pushing a narrative, it's for a reason. Because they want you, me, and you to also fall in line. Hell, that crime bill got pushed because the Congressional Black Caucus said yes. And they weren't wrong because their neighborhoods, our communities were under siege because somebody from the outside brought drugs in and then said, let them have each other, let them kill each other, let it go. And then now we have a whole new prison population because the 13th Amendment gives us a buck clause to re-enslave folk. Shh, say nothing. Okay, we'll pass the crime bill and make it even worse. Thank you. So we participated in our own demise, but in many ways, we allowed the demise to happen because how'd they get there in the first place? Well, we weren't paying attention. We know better now. So here we are. Information war, being manipulated every single day. It is, and shutting off, which I tried, I don't watch cable news, but I have to read the news that's out there in order to do this every day. And it's really difficult. And I have a brain that functions very well. And I've read a lot and I know some things. I can't imagine if I had none of that going from me. If I was a young person or if I didn't read anything or didn't have 30 years of journalism and didn't have all of this, interaction with people in the streets. If I didn't know how to ask questions. Oh my goodness. How easy is it to be indoctrinated? Twitter's running it. Elon Musk bought this for a reason. It worked. He bought it to be able to push out rhetoric and propaganda. It worked. He's now in England doing the same thing. It's working. Fueling violence. Before Elon Musk, it was damn Meta, which we call Facebook. I will forever call it Facebook. Selling our information to Cambridge Analytica and then using bots and things to push out all of this stuff. And I know for a fact because one of my former students was a victim of the push out to go put these negative images and things out about Hillary Clinton, and it worked. It worked. And this is way worse. Remember World Star Hip Hop? World Star Hip Hop? This is way worse. And if people self-segregate, they don't know us, and the only thing they know are these violent ass things showing black young people. Of course, crime needs to be, of course that's going to be the narrative. So shame on you, Governor of Utah. I watched, by the way, that horrible reality show, and I'm glad I watched it, featuring the housewives of Utah, Mormons. Hot ass mess. Please do yourself a favor. Watch a couple of episodes of it. As you sit in your pious way, I pray it wasn't one of us. Y'all are not perfect, sir. Mr. Sir. Oh my God, not only are you not perfect, you're lying. This is part of the problem. The hypocrisy is rich. So here we are. People getting canceled. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's daughter, her name is Ava Rain. She was criticized, and death threats on her for saying this. This is what she said. If you want people to have kind words when you pass, you should say kind words while you're alive. She deserves death threats for that? Are y'all okay? So, time for the silent majority to stand up, say the things that need to be said, but also hold truth. Hold the whole truth, please. So there was a pastor who's going viral for a sermon that he gave, Pastor Howard John Wesley of Alfred Street Baptist Church in Washington, D.C., which is under the National Guard siege. It's going to get worse because Miriam Bowser, I know you didn't really have too many choices, but you didn't have to publicly bend the knee. You could have publicly pretended that you weren't bending the knee. You could have publicly postured like you weren't going to do, because once you give and concede, it never stops. Now you're in a quandary. You don't have no place to run. All right, well, this is what the pastor said on Sunday.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half-staff calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
State Representative from Texas's 50th District. He's also running for the Senate. James Tallarico, we played a few clips. I can't wait to have him on the show as well. He seems to be one of the few people in public life and in public office who is standing on business. And by stand on business, I'm talking about the truth. He said this about the Christian nationalist, the one about the Christian nationalists, Ms.
Christian nationalists walk around with a mouthful of scripture and a heart full of hate. Don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. Jesus didn't tell us to love our churches. He didn't tell us to love our doctrines and our creeds. He didn't even tell us to love our scriptures. He told us to love our neighbors. And there was no exception to that commandment. Love thy neighbor, regardless of race, class, gender, sexual orientation, or immigration status. One of my favorite theologians, Barbara Brown Taylor, once wrote, "The only clear line I draw these days is this. When my religion tries to come between me and my neighbor, I will choose my neighbor. Jesus never commanded me to love my religion." You know what's interesting? Not once in the entire Bible does Jesus ask us to worship him. All he asks is that we follow him. Love like he loved. Love the outcast. Welcome the stranger. Feed the hungry. Heal the sick. Free the oppressed. As the hymn says, they will know we are Christians by our love. We have to get back to that.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will